Yes, people, big up to every single one of you. 12th man is back. And guess what? I've got the coronavirus. COVID still exists. And the only reason I tested myself was because my mate said, have you tested yourself for COVID? Because it's rife again. And you know, when you do them tests and it takes you back to lockdown, literally within like 2 minutes, it's like positive. Brilliant. Just what I needed. I don't know if it was London or Dublin that got me, but trust me, I ain't feeling too well. So I'm going to have to use my panel today to get me through it because, I'm feeling pretty crappy. But I wanted to plow through with the show because I do enjoy this every Thursday. Big up to Joe, big up to Hooks, big up to Wolfie, George, and Sava, who's just joined. Make sure you're following every single one of these guys. We've got Cal that's going to jump on as well. So big up to all you guys, man. Make sure you're following Just Joe. Make sure you're following Halftime Hooks, Forest Fan TV, Durag Diaries, and Football Heritage TV. Match Bingo is back, people. Scan the QR code. Make sure you click on the link in the description. We've got a few of you that are downloading the app and they're playing. We had a winner as well. So big up to Liverpool fan. It's always a bloody Liverpool fan. Why are they so lucky? £150. Big up to you, man. I'm going to get your name because I did say I would give you a shout out. So I'll get your name later in the show and say a huge big up to you guys. So make sure that if you want to be successful as well, you scan the QR code, click on the link in the description or in the live chat now and download the app. For credit £5, get the cards that they offer you, and you don't have to do anything else. It's all automatic with the game. So make sure that you're in for that. Big up to the chat, big up to the mods. Let's talk. If I'm honest with you, I wanted to start with the Thomas Frank thing, actually, because I'm bored of talking about Gyokeres or Sesko till death. So I want to talk about Thomas Frank first. Sava, good appointment? Question mark?
No, I'm really happy. I'm really happy. A proper coach. Somebody with a plan, someone with a coaching staff, someone that won't embarrass us weekly. Somebody that understands football from a tactical perspective. I'm really happy. I'm really, really happy. I wanted the coach. And I think there's a lot of people saying a lot of things about Frank without really engaging thought before they're talking. Top coach. Really excited for him to be joining. I've just felt embarrassed the last 4 or 5 years. We've not had a coach. We've not had, we've got these managers that float from one idea to the next without anyone really developing the youth, without implementing systems, without knowing how to negate the opposition. And hopefully we've got that. So listen, we've just taken him and 7 of his staff. So it's the first time Levy's done that for, well, I can't remember Levy doing that before.
So they confirmed that it was 7. I thought it was only like 3 or 4.
No, they've confirmed. There's 6. There's 8 people going to be working under Frank. 6 were his staff, including Justin Cochrane, and 2 already were at Spurs, which was Birch and Wells. So again, I've seen Levy getting loads of stick the last couple of days. Like, what's taking so long? I don't know. You're trying to rip out all of Brentford's infrastructure. I'm guessing it's lots of lawyers and paperwork and negotiations. So I'm really, really happy. I haven't been this happy as a Spurs fan for a long time. Really happy.
Yeah,
not for a long time.
Yeah,
you weren't happy when you lifted the trophy a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but it's as I said, critical thinking is really important in football, and the bigger picture for me is. We lifted a trophy, which is an amazing moment. But actually, the stability and the long-term vision of the football club, there was nothing there. There was absolutely nothing there. We couldn't continue to play this gung-ho, wide-open football. We needed someone to come in and coach. And for the first time, I can see a vision. For the first time, I can see what we're doing. And I'm really happy with it. Really happy.
How about you, George?
Can I jump in?
No, go on.
No, I just wanted to jump in. Obviously, it's like there's two points. I'm actually buzzing that Spurs have got Thomas Frank. I think it's a great appointment. I think, I've a lot of experience with him because obviously he managed Brentford in the Championship after Dean Smith when we had battles, when he had the likes of, Watkins, Ben Rama. He had, these players in the Championship. He's a very good coach and has come up the right way and obviously done his hard yards at Brentford and deserves a crack at a bigger club. And I think he will be successful. I'm buzzing because from a Leeds fan's perspective, I've got to look at the table and say who's likely to be able to be dragged into a relegation fight. And before any of this, I'm looking at maybe West Ham, Wolves, and now Brentford. I'm looking at Brentford, I'm saying Mbuemo's gone. I'm saying Visser could go. Frank's gone. They've been linked to Scott Parker. I'm like, if they want to appoint Scott Parker, then I am rubbing my hands. Like that's good for me. That's very good. But on the other flip side as well, I just want to... Look, Savvy, you watched it week in, week out. I think it's unfair to say that your man Ange isn't a good coach. He is. He's got a certain style.
It's not unfair at all.
I'll finish, bro. And then, no, he's got a good style. Obviously, ultimately,
no, he hasn't.
It didn't work at Spurs. What you've got in Frank is someone who will look at each game on an individual basis and tactically tweak it dependent on the opponent, right? That's fine. But there will come a point when you want a distinct style, right? Obviously, there was a lack of, I guess, Ange wanting to change, right? It was plan A better. Obviously, Frank wants to tweak it depending on the opposition and stuff. And sometimes you might be a bit too defensive. And maybe, will that be the Spurs way? Will you be happy at that point if you're winning games, but doing it in a way that's potentially perceived as negative? It'll be interesting to see what the rhetoric is from the fan base then. But I think it's a bit unfair to say that he's not a good coach because he's won things wherever he's gone. He's won things at your club. So, and I think he still will go on and be a successful manager, Ange. I do believe that.
Yeah, but Joe, when you have the worst ever Premier League season that Tottenham have ever had, when not one player has developed and improved under you for 2 years, when our goals against column is the worst it's ever been, our defeats column is the worst it's ever been, when your win ratio is as shit as his is, I can't find the argument for him being a good coach. He had a good cup run. Of that, there is no doubt. And obviously, Wolfie's point where he's trying to bait me, of course, for the cup run, the cup run's great. But this is the difference, Joe, right? Here's what I say. And I always say this. I've been very lucky in my life that I've worked for 2 Premier League football clubs. When you work inside a Premier League football club, the way that fans like Wolfie talk, and the fans in the chat just going, but you want a trophy, you want a trophy, you want a trophy, isn't the way the professionals behind the scenes actually talk about football. Yeah? They will be looking at that the way that Daniel Levy's looked at that and gone, you won a trophy, but you've embarrassed us in the league. We're 17th. You've got to go. Right? There's no plan. There's no project. And you can't jump from year to year hoping that you might finish 17th and have a good cup run. So for me, the bigger picture is what they're implementing now with Frank. I think it's going to take a bit of time. I feel like we've got a little bit of the old Pochettino thing going back, where we're actually going to look like a team, actually have some structure, actually develop younger players, actually develop the players we bring in. Not seen any of that at Tottenham for years. It's been embarrassing. Other than the cup run, it's been embarrassing.
I think it's fair to say that with regards to Ange, whether he's a good coach or not, it's subjective, isn't it? Like, obviously, it didn't work at the high level. He won a trophy, but Joe, you are right. Like, he does have a distinct style of playing, and for some people, that is a good style of football. Now, I would agree with Sava. Watching him week in, week out, I personally don't want that style to be my manager of my club. I don't think it's a style that works at the top level. Whereas I think Frank's style is more similar to the coaches when you say like a Mourinho and Conte, in the sense that they will have more adaptable. It is a lot more focused on the tactics, and it's reactive to what team they're playing. It's never just we're playing one way. Depending on the team, there's going to be little tweaks. And a lot of people think because Frank has been defensive during his time in Brentford in the Premier League that he's a defensive manager. He's actually not a defensive manager. And you would know better than anyone, Joe. Like, when he was playing in Championship, Brentford were known for being a high-flying attacking team. And even just last season, I think they were the 5th highest goal-scoring team in the Premier League. So for me, I'm happy with the appointment. Now, it's not the level of manager I wanted. People know I went on record to say that I wanted a manager of the tier above. I wanted someone of a Xavi, Inzaghi, all these bigger names, because naturally when you win a trophy, you want a manager that can come in and maintain that level. Like, I've been introduced to trophies now. Like, again, it's been 17 years, I forgot, but I've been introduced again. So I need someone that's going to maintain that vibe for me. Now, obviously,
Singular.
I need to manage my expectation. See, I'm not even going to listen to you because right now I'm wearing your color and you ain't said nothing about it because I rolled through your hood, took your rag. Where's your do-rag? This is Hooks' do-rag, people. I took Hooks' do-rag. Trust me, you won't wear one no more. This is what you see the red thing. I
drove past the toilet today.
We don't even listen to it.
I drove past the toilet today, you know.
No, that's still bro. That's still bro.
Big toilet boy, you know.
Sit back, relax.
It's my time, you know.
He's seeming to forget because it's been a couple of weeks that a champion is talking. Please don't.
You're lucky I'm ill. You're lucky I'm ill.
Back to it. No, back to it. I think more important than anything, I think like you people heard it there. Savas actually didn't say a bad word again, but he was defending Levy. If Savas defending Levy, then you know there's some good things going on at the club right now. There's been a lot of changes. Not just the change with the manager, but everything right now. So, like Sava said, I think we're seeing that the club's going in a new direction, and a new direction actually looks like a good direction. So, I'm happy. I can't be mad at all.
I love this hopium, man, and the copium all in one, man. Thomas Frank, man. Thomas Frank. Who did you want again, George? Remind me.
Who did I want? You know, Xavi Hernandez.
What happened? What happened? Yeah, you had to go to the bus stop in West London and pull their manager out, man. Come on, man.
No other teams picked him up. He's obviously wasn't shouted. Tottenham have had Frank on their list from a few years ago, so it's quite clear. Also, with the Johan Lange connection, I know he's been a huge fan of Frank. So it's very clear that Tottenham wanted only Frank, and we probably didn't speak to many other managers.
You're not rate it, Wolfie.
I don't rate it, man. I don't rate it. I see it as becoming another Potter going to Chelsea. That's how I see it. I mean,
you see, this is hater, like you because you saw. Do you know what it is? I know you saw my video today that we're looking at your players. You know, small Spurs about to raid Nottingham Forest for their best players.
George, not to offend you, bro, but I've been working, so I haven't seen your video today.
Yeah, it's all right, man.
I'll watch it later. No, it's not about
has
that.
Has everyone done their homework though? Can I ask, like, have people actually done?
Because just like Joe, we came up against him a lot in the championship, right? Sure. So we've seen more of him than me and Joe would have seen more of him than most of you guys.
He actually only played 2 seasons in the championship, so that's not.
So that's 2 more seasons than you saw of him. Yeah,
he's played 3 seasons in the Premier League. You only just came in.
Sure, but my point was there, Wolfie, is that when people keep going, oh, this guy isn't the guy. This guy is so highly respected in the world of coaching. This guy is so highly respected. Bigger clubs have been trying to get him for a few years. This guy, his coaching videos, his masterclasses, his podcasts, watch him as a coach. Watch him as a man manager. I just think everyone's trying to shit on someone who's got a good body of work, has got better and better, has done it on an absolute shoestring budget. You think this is a Brentford manager that in 7 years at Brentford has spent £250 million, right? He averages £35 million spend per year, and he averages a net spend of £10 million per year. Every single year, he loses his best players. Every single year, he loses his best players. Gets on with it, coaches, makes players better. Look at the likes of Vissa, Mbuemo, Norgard, Damsgaard, Collins, like Rico Henry, all of these people, plus all the other ones that are gone, the Ben Ramas, the Watkins, the Tonys. And yet, when he gets a chance at a bigger job, everyone's just, don't rate him. What's he done? It's like, well, hang on. What had Eddie Howe done before he went to Newcastle? Everyone was shitting on Eddie Howe.
I rate him. No, but I rate him. We're not saying he's crap. You're conflating 2 discussions. His level is Brentford for me. You that kind of club. That's what I said for me. That's why I said for me. That's the difference.
Let me ask this quickly before Cal comes in, right? If I can get this question out, man, my voice is killing me. Where do you see the difference with a Thomas Frank to a Nuno at Tottenham, or dare I say a Conte or Mourinho, obviously maybe an Ange? Where do you see the huge difference? That's just me playing devil's advocate as a host. I don't mind if Savile or George comes in.
So
George, you want first?
No, Hook's put his hand up, so clearly gone. He's actually understands.
No, George, you answer it as a Spurs fan. The other fan bases aren't going to give the proper answer. They're just going to bait.
I liked how he had manners for once. He didn't want to jump in. He knew that he had to put his hand up to speak. So I wanted to show some respect and let him go on. It's right, Hooks.
I think that Thomas Frank is super clear of Nuno, bro. Thomas Frank is an absolute amazing coach. I don't think, that for where Tottenham are right now, they could have got a better coach, in my opinion. When you listen to the guy speak, this guy understands football on a different level. And I feel like that's what Tottenham need, innit? And I think it's, I was speaking to George about this yesterday, For me, I think one of the most positive things for Frank, in my opinion, is because Tottenham just won the Europa League, he doesn't come into Tottenham with that hoodoo voodoo on his back that he's got to break the curse. The curse has already been broken. So there's no unnecessary pressure on him from the beginning. He can come in, he's getting a pre-season, I guess from a Tottenham fan's perspective, you'll hope that he gets backed and all the targets that he does want, he gets to drill into the players what he wants. I think he's a very intelligent and clear speaker as well, very intentional with what he wants. I think it'd be very easy for the players to understand what's expected of them. And I don't know, I just feel like it's an overall good appointment. I think you can look at things that he's done with certain players in the Brentford team and kind of do a mirror match. For example, look what he's been able to get out of Mikel Damsgaard. You start looking at Maddison or Kulusevski, maybe they'll start playing in a similar, or you'll get similar things out of them. You look at the connection that he built between Visser and Mbeumo, you start thinking, cool, where does that happen at Tottenham? Even before that, he had Mbeumo and Tony. He knows how to get the attacking players working with each other. So I don't know. I think this is a very positive thing for Spurs. I don't know what the actual expectation is of him from his first season. I don't know what that I don't know what Spurs fans expect. I don't know what the Spurs board expect. I don't know what anyone expects. I don't even know what he himself expects.
European football and a trophy, surely, is what they should be wanting at Tottenham.
Yeah, I think European football, definitely, with regards to a trophy, he's not going to have massive pressure on him to go and repeat and do another trophy next season. Though
I don't think he'll have pressure, but surely that's what the Spurs fans would want. Is
the target is definitely going to be to get a trophy next season. There's no doubt about that with this team winning one this year. But with regards to your actual question, Dan, what's the difference between him and some of these other appointments? I think Frank reminds me more of Eddie Howe before his move to Newcastle than what Wolfie referred to, that he's nowhere near Nuno or whatever. Because when Nuno came to Spurs, Nuno wasn't in a good place. It wasn't like Nuno was off the back of...
I said Potter, man. Potter to Chelsea.
Sorry, yeah, Potter. But he wasn't in the same place as when Potter was. I feel like Frank has had a good couple of years seeing him adapt and perform. Like Sav said, he's not necessarily, for me and my eyes, I don't think he's overperformed for Brentford. But when you look at the metrics, he hasn't spent loads of money. He's not been given... a lot of tools to do his job. He's been working with similar players to what he had in the Championship and just naturally progressed some of these players whilst consistently selling one of his best players every season. In the Championship, you would know he lost Benrahma, then he lost Watkins, then he lost Tony, then he lost Raya. He's consistently lost his best players and still managed to rebuild the team. So I just look at someone who's able to identify good players, coach players, but also work within his means, and that works out for Spurs. Like I've said, it's very similar to when Pochettino came to Tottenham, but I'd liken it more to how Eddie Howe was doing at Newcastle. I think they're very similar coaches, and I think when you take on a team like Tottenham and you've got adaptable, it's going to help the players, and we've got a lot of good young players right now. He'd be perfect to come in and work with them.
So George, do you think if he finished 6th next season and didn't win any domestic trophy, would that be acceptable?
Yeah. It's not going to be a bad season. I mean, we finished 17th this year. 6th, obviously, it will be dependent on how he finishes. If he's 4th all year and then bottles it 6th, then we're going to be like, yeah, we didn't have a great season, but it's not a terrible one. But he's not going to be tasked with, if he doesn't get top 4, it's going to be mad. 6th next season, cool. I'm not going to be angry.
George, I don't think these people understand how far Ange has taken us backwards. This is the problem. I feel like everyone's just looking at the trophy and they're not understanding what he's actually done on the pitch. We are 17th for a reason. We are one of the worst teams in the league defensively for a reason. We're mocked on a weekly basis for our style of play for a reason. So this manager coming in has got a lot of work to do. This manager's got to get the feel-good factor back into the players. He's got to coach them. We've had 2 years without coaching. We've got to build a defense. We've got to build some sort of structure that doesn't allow us to be run through in the midfield like Bonnie Blue every week. And this is a manager that, for the last 4 years, for all these people, again, if people did their homework, for the last 4 years in the Premier League, this manager's got the highest points to salary ratio in the country. Like, this is a guy that works.
We check weekly. That's true.
This is a guy that doesn't have a lot to work with, right? And always does well. But I just think people have got to understand what's.
He's hooked.
I just think people have got to understand.
Sam's comment about Bonnie Blue has done everyone.
I think the people have got to understand where we are as a club, and this is the thing. Winning a trophy is great, but over here on the other hand, our football club has stalled. There's been no coaching, no development. There's no, we're embarrassed weekly by the press conferences. He's arguing. Ange was arguing with his own fans. He's arguing with the media. Thomas Frank's not going to do all that. He'll come in, coach, get on with his job. And I'm not expecting miracles this year, Dan. We haven't got the Europa League to fall back this year. He's got a proper Champions League campaign. I'm not expecting to win that. But
do you think now, Sav, like that this is half of the job done? And I actually agree with you, Sav. I actually do think Thomas Frank's a very good coach. However, there's only so much that he can do. He's now got to have support. And when you look at, to be fair, how much Ange Postecoglou was actually supported financially, 400 million euros, that's now got to get better. Your recruitment has got to get better now alongside Frank, because Frank can do great things and he can improve players, but that's only half the job for me now. I'm interested to see what Levy does now you're back in the Champions League, because I've been quite sort of open about how the Cronkies have supported Arsenal once they're outside of the Champions League. When they get into the Champions League, it's like, we don't do anything. It's like we do the bare minimum. Yeah. I think that's where Spurs and Levy are at now.
I think as well, just a bit of information for anybody that doesn't know about Tottenham at the moment. 3 months ago, Joe Lewis, who owns ENIC, who owns Tottenham, put his chief advisor in business into the Spurs board as a non-exec director. And it's no coincidence that 3 months later, we're having a clean sweep of the entire club. So when people are saying this is a new manager, we've just got rid of directors, all the coaches, the manager of the women's team, the men's team, all the coaches underneath them have gone. Players are getting sold. Spurs have had a deep dive and an audit into what is going on at the football club. And now it's changing. I said that the only reason he's not sacked Ange, is because something's happening in the summer. And George, you'll back me up on this. Daniel Levy came back from holiday last Monday, right? And in the 10 days since Daniel Levy's been back from holiday, the whole club has changed. Everyone's getting everyone out, people coming in. He's ripping it apart, changing it up. Apparently, there's been reassurances to Frank that he's going to get certain positions that he wanted. I've heard this. This is the same person who told me that Frank was coming in 3 months ago, by the way. Right? I've heard that he made three things on his wish list. One, I want to bring my staff with me. Daniel Levy never does that. Daniel Levy's just gone and negotiated for Frank and 6 of his staff to rock up at Spurs. Never does that. 2 is that he wants a number 6. And 3 is that he wants him to get either Mbeumo or Semenyo, because he can do with them what he's done with the likes of Tony and what he's already done with Mbeumo. So we'll see if one of those things has happened. Let's see if the next 2 things happen. But like George said, we got some really good young players there, like the Bergvals, like the Odebergs. They need coaching. And I know lots of football fans can't see past one moment in time, but you've got a cup, and then you've got the entire professional football club over here that needs work, Dan. So for me, I'm really happy with it. Apparently that angers a lot of people, but George's worked for me for years. I've always said I want to coach. I don't want a gung-ho manager. I want to coach. I want a coach that comes in, and he doesn't have to be the guy, Dan. Maybe he's the guy before the big guy. But we need stability. We need someone to come in and coach. and we
No,
need
I
somebody.
agree. I think
that.
you've backed up. You've backed up why you're excited and saying the guy before the guy. You've already had the guys there in Conte's and Mourinho's. So for me, I think Thomas Frank is actually quite a good appointment. Look, it could be a Potter, like Wolfie says. We don't know, but I do feel like Thomas Frank has proven to be better than that. Cal, what do you think, bruv?
I rate Thomas Frank. I've always rated him. I don't think, as Hook said, I don't think there's a better manager out there that Tottenham could go and get that is available or would be attracted to the project of Spurs. I do also agree that the fact that they've won a trophy now, I think that pressure of delivering the first trophy isn't there. However, success breeds a want for more success, so there will still be pressure there to deliver trophies as well. But I think you're getting a really good manager. I think outside of the bigger teams in the league, Thomas Frank is probably the best of that bunch. And there's no argument to say he's better than others in that quote-unquote big six. So I think it's a very good appointment. I think everything at Tottenham comes down to Levy a lot, though, if I'm going to be honest. And I'm not trying to do the whole Levy in, Levy out thing because I just don't know enough about it. But from outside looking in, it seems as though he's done the bare minimum sometimes and he doesn't really seem to have a plan or a structure in place when it comes to recruitment and things like that. If you're getting a coach as good as Thomas Frank, you have to back them with the right people in the boardroom or make sure that everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, or else it's just going to fall by the wayside again. Look, I have no beef with Tottenham. I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I get that you guys are going to see it different from me. I don't have any beef with Tottenham. I don't see them being a threat to the league or anything like that in the immediate future. Maybe not even the next 5-6 years, but I do think this is a very good appointment for them, considering what's out there and who's available.
I think Glasner is better, but outside of what you said, the big six, I would say.
No, Glasner is very good, but again, the argument about Glasner could be
not
that
available.
One, he's not available.
No, that's not what he said. He's saying the manager's outside the big six.
No, but also Thomas Frank, we've seen the proof in the pudding. He's done it for a few years now. When Brentford came up, a lot of people predicted Brentford to go straight back down. He's established them as a very good Premier League team. There's a lot of teams that you don't want to play against, and Brentford is one of them. The thought of going to Brentford at the weekend is a daunting one, and I think that's because of what Frank's done since he's been there.
I'm just still computing the salary to points stat thing, man. That's a crazy stat.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, that stat that was said. Yeah. The way I see it is Ange Postecoglou football was great for the first few months, and we thought, wow, he's got a start to play. And then when we realised there was nothing else he could do, everybody just caught up, and they just couldn't win a game. I thought he was poor personally. I'm with Sava. Didn't rate him. I understand they won a trophy, but let's be real. I'm not trying to take it away from him and be a bitter Arsenal fan, but when you have to beat the teams they had to beat to win it, my God, it's not exactly an unbelievable achievement. And we'll never know if season 3 is better than season 2. Will we now? So let's be honest. That he should have just kept it as I always win things on my second year. He shouldn't have mentioned Netflix season 3. He should never have done that because that quote has now made him look silly. But there we go. Look, Frank's a good manager. I actually think it's a good appointment for Tottenham. But I personally believe the issue has never been the managers at Tottenham. I always believe it's been the ownership and Daniel Levy. That's my honest opinion. I appreciate that Daniel Levy's brought some great moments to Spurs, like a Champions League final, like the stadium, like some good football and some good players, like a title challenge. In my lifetime, I have never seen that until Daniel Levy come to Tottenham. So I can say fair play. They've actually been fairly competitive in the last sort of half a decade or so, maybe a decade. But when I look at it, really and truly, they've not had the ambition as an ownership or as a chairman or whatever, board-wise, to go, we're here, we want to go here. And until they do that, I don't see Tottenham getting anywhere like that other than where they've been in the last sort of 5-10 years.
We're miles off it. Dan, sorry, last thing, and then I'll shut up for a bit. We're miles off it. I think any fans that are, look, we just finished 17th, and I've got Spurs fans going to me, well, if this guy doesn't get Champions League through the league next year, and hang on. Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle, Man United are spending for fun. Like, sorry, suddenly, why are we just going to go? Boom, and I think it's a long road back. I genuinely, it's a long road back. We need a year to stabilize. We need a year of stability, and then we need to keep growing. And again, this is what I said. This one cup that's all anyone can talk about. is the best and worst thing that's happened for this club. It's the best thing because it's got the monkey off the back, but it's the worst thing because now people just go, right, we've won a cup, go and win more. Yeah, but we won the cup whilst losing 26
It's not
games.
even people though, Savage. You know, it is more time. It's the people. It's rival fans doing it because rival fans just they're doing what they're doing. But the Tottenham fans that are doing it are just the Ange inners that were so fuming about Ange being sacked. They've now turned to being what the Ange out people they called us to be, like the horrible, narcissistic sort of like people that aren't giving you any positivity about the club. They're just like, oh no, and Frank's rubbish. Don't want Frank. He needs to win a trophy, and if you don't win a trophy, he's done. I've been seeing tweets today saying, oh, if he loses that Super Cup, or the pressure's gonna be on him. He's lost his first trophy, and all this stuff. Like people are just making things up. Real Spurs fans know. Like you said, we're trying to get back to being stable, being in a good position, being where we was at 4 or 5 years ago, to then push on back to being, more competitive and challenging like we was on.
So what's your end goal here, George?
I think you got a better chance of winning the Super Cup under Frank than you did under Ange.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, but what is the end goal with Frank?
Well, we'll have to see how it goes. I don't know what you mean by
it's not
goal.
too early to say what the end goal is, man. I'm just saying, what do they want to see at the end with Frank?
That's if we asked you a few years ago what you wanted to see at the end of Nuno, you wouldn't have said Champions League football because you wouldn't have thought it was possible.
I said my third start, but anyway. But
I'm sure you did.
But what are you saying? What's your end goal with Thomas Frank?
He's not even through the door yet. How are we talking about what you expect?
I'm not putting expectations on him already. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to.
He's not even through the door. It's crazy.
I want to
see who he signs.
Yeah,
can we at least see what he signs in like,
Wolfie, do you know what? Wolfie forgets that I've got a clip of you on this exact show saying that you finish above us next season, no matter what. So I'll release that clip anyway.
Okay, cool. But
you worry about that.
The question still stands. Like, what? You can't have expectations on a manager before he comes in. Cal's probably got expectations on what he expects of Wirtz next season. They still haven't finished their recruitment. Why is this such a crazy question to ask?
I'll answer it for you.
Your end game with Thomas Frank.
Bring some stability. Bring some stability back to the football club. Bring some composure. Bring a plan. Bring a process. Bring us back to not being a laughing stock week in, week out.
Be careful using that word, Sabo, because they'll hold it against you for the rest of your football.
Mate, listen, people are going to say. People are going to say what they want to say, Hooks. I need a manager where I feel like, one, he doesn't embarrass us every week. Two, actually looks at the opposition and says, what do I need to do today to try and negate that? Coach the players. As I said to Dan just now, he might be the guy for a couple of years and then you go bigger. But at the moment, everyone's going, oh, we should have got this manager, that manager. Do you not think these managers, these top managers and top players are looking at Tottenham and going, they've just finished 17th?
Yeah, 17th is crazy.
They've lost 26 games in a year. Like these managers and players aren't dumb. They're not stupid. They can see what we can see. It's just as fans, we've got the emotional attachment to silverware. These people will have other options. Yeah, like everyone's saying, get Glasner. Glasner's not available. He said that. Glasner said it. Steve Parish has said it. He ain't available. But fans, just get Glasner. Like, listen, let's just have a bit of like I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat say Sava doesn't want trophies. It's not that. But the likelihood is, guys, and I did this stat the other day, right? Of the lot of the League Cup, the FA Cup, the Champions League and the Europa League, right? From the last 30 years, you've got 120 winners of those trophies, right? Of those 4 trophies. Do you know out of 120, how many of those were clubs that finished in the bottom 10 of their respective leagues?
Go on.
10.
Wow.
10 out of 120, which tells you the likelihood is that you're not, what we've just done is an anomaly. Finishing in the bottom half and winning trophies is an anomaly. So it goes to show that most teams that are actually higher up in the league have a higher success rate of winning a trophy. So when people are saying, oh, I'll happily finish 15th and win a cup. Yeah, but that's the anomaly. Like that's the anomaly. That's not the norm. The cups are normally won by Liverpool, by Arsenal, by Chelsea, by City, by Man United, who historically always have those top 10, top 6 finishes. So again, it's just a little bit of digging, a little bit of critical thinking when you actually marry up wanting your club to be better here increases the chances of trophies there on a long-term sustainable path. But people don't want that. They just want, don't worry about the league.
To be fair, though,
you want to do the Arsenal phase 1, phase 2.
It's not about phases. No, Wolfie, you keep. I don't know where you get this stuff from. Like, George, as a Spurs fan, and me as a Spurs fan, haven't mentioned the word phase. It's not about phases.
I didn't say you did. I'm saying by what you're saying, you're implicit with that.
We can't be 17th. We simply cannot be 17th. It's absolutely. Even you guys that banter us, surely you realise a club like Tottenham can't be 17th in the Premier League.
No, I agree. I agree.
17th is
I can't believe that you were 17th. I still find it mad, to be honest. I think I predicted it to come 7th before a ball was kicked, or might have been 8th. Like, I really did not expect that whatsoever, to be honest. And to be fair to Sava, because I know there's a lot of people calling Wolfie a clown in the chat. There's also a lot of people giving it to Sava in the chat. Let's just keep it respectful, man. Jesus Christ. It's
honestly,
chat, man. It's ridiculous.
I don't know why I come in.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. But anyway, but look, you've said he deserves credit for winning the trophy, but you want him replaced. I don't think that's a bad thing to say, personally. When you're 17th in the league, if Ange had come 4th and won the Europa League, I'd be like a bit like, wow, Sava, what did you expect? But you come 17th, man. Like any other season, you'd have been relegated, in my opinion. Like, that's how bad it was. So I personally don't get it. I think Frank will be a good appointment. We'll see what your recruitment's like, and then we can make a prediction. But I want to move because there has been a little bit of news on Gyokeres and Arsenal, which we will touch on next. But I just wanted to bring Wolfie and Joe in quickly because obviously with Leeds and with Forest, I know I'm not saying you're on the same kind of level at the moment, but Tottenham are a team that you'll probably be looking at. Yeah, Joe. Tottenham are a team you'll definitely be interested in, and Joe's already made mentions and reference of what happens with them, but also what happens with other clubs around it. We'll start with you, Joe, and I'll come to Wolfie and see where you're at. I've got to be honest, bro. I look at what Leeds are going to be doing, and I watch a lot of your content, and I know you've been linked with a lot of players, and hopefully you do get it right because, you know, I've got love for Leeds, but I just think it's such a struggle to go for that jump now. I think that this season has proven the championship teams that came up in, let's be real, a fairly strong championship season where Leeds just missed out last game. Like, I don't know, man. I think it's very difficult now. So what are you telling me, Joe?
Do you know what, mate? I think there's a lot of recency bias attached to that because we can't forget that the season Leeds United were relegated, which was 3 seasons ago, we only got beat to that last spot by Nottingham Forest, who are now in Europe. Aston Villa came up the season before us.
Sorry, Joe. Forest had to break some rules to get that as well, innit?
Yeah,
Don't you go down that road now. Got ya, right?
I hear you, though.
But this bird signing has changed you.
Aston Villa came up the season before us and were in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. So there's a lot of recency bias attached to this. I don't think you can compare Leeds United to Ipswich, to Southampton, to Leicester. I don't care about them women Premier League. They're fucking FA Cup. It's just not there. But I do think with the ownership that we've got, the 49ers, they're here to spend. They've got fresh investment. The players that we've been linked to are of a decent level. We'll just look. It's all on recruitment, Potsy. It is all on recruitment. It's about
who are you linked with, bro?
So Jakub Biol, Slovenian, currently at Udinese, centre back. We've had a bid put in for him. That sounds like it's going to get done. We bid for Habibi Diarra, who actually scored against England, the player number 6, who's currently at Strasbourg. We bid 22 million for him, but I don't think he wants to move because he's waiting for a bigger club, unfortunately. Keeper, we want Petrovic, loose links, Nick Pope. I don't know. Look, it's not going to be amazing. And the facts are, if we're competing with any of yous in the transfer window, we're going to lose out because there is that nervousness around, they could go down straight away, etc. But it's all on recruitment, mate. You got to get your recruitment right. And up until this point, the ownership have, bringing in Ampadu from Chelsea, bringing in Rodon from Spurs, they've all worked. Tanaka was about 2-3 million. He's going to light it up. I mean, if we get relegated, he'll go on, and you'll see a bit of Tanaka next season. He's a baller, but
you keeping Nonto, yeah?
Yeah, we'll keep mate. Do you know what? Nonto's
no.
Nah. Look, he burst onto the scene, didn't he? And he did well. And Gary Neville's talking about him being like, oh, he looks like a City player. Yeah, he's dropped off a lot, mate. I'm not too. He doesn't start. He doesn't start ahead of Dan James. So
wow, that's worrying when Dan James is starting ahead of you. Oh my God,
Dan James.
What's happening there?
Nah, too expensive, mate. Too many injuries. He's currently out at the minute as well. I think he's going for some sort of surgery. We're being linked to the likes of Sean Longstaff and that, which might make people laugh. But this guy's been 7 consecutive seasons in the Premier League. We need play right. When we came up last time, we went for glamour signings, right? Leeds United, the whole remit was we're going to go for the cream of the crop of the Championship. We're going to sign Watkins. Ollie Watkins was in the door at Leeds United, and then in the last moment, we pivoted and went for Rodrigo because he was Spain's number 9 from Valencia. We fucked up. We should have signed Watkins, but they went for glamour signings like Diego Llorente, Rodrigo, Robin Cox, all these names that were just shite in the Prem.
Yeah, but he had Rafinha, bro.
Yeah, that was one that banged, bro. That was one that banged, but he wasn't a glamour signing, Wolfie. He was relatively unknown then for 16, 17 million. I'm talking about, we've got Spain's number 9. Even I was like, we've got Spain's number 9 when really we should have took Brentford's Watkins. Because now look at him. Do you know what I mean? So they're going for Premier League experience. They're going for international experience. They're relying heavily on data, with them being 49ers and stuff. And I don't know how fucking what's it called? American football works. I don't know why I did that, throwing the ball, but they rely heavily.
We've got a few players you can have, Joe. You can take Fabi Vieira. You can take Lokonga. You know what I mean?
He'll take him.
Reece Nelson. You know what I mean?
We'll take him. Mate, I mean, look at, Oh, we've been linked to Rodrigo Muniz as well from Fulham, and also Beto Everton. So we need a 9. We need a left winger. We need another midfielder, like box to box. I'd love Gyokeres at Everton, but he wants like 160 grand a week, which is far too much. Centre back, need a new goalie, and then we'll see.
Yeah, you definitely.
You just don't sound confident, man. You're not striking me as a person who's feeling it, man. Like you're gonna do this next season. I'm just seeing a lot of swaying and shaking.
No, Leeds are going to finish top 10.
I'd love that, mate.
Yeah, Leeds are going to finish top 10, man. I got lead as it stands. RB Leeds United. Yeah, top 10, man. Let's go, man. Let's go.
Wow. You
know what, though? Daniel Farker will see the season out, by the way. He's not the same guy. He's not the Norwich guy who spent like 5 million. I think a lot of people are looking at Farker and saying, nah, he's not the same guy. He'll finish the season as Leeds manager and we'll finish 17th, and I'll take that.
Yeah.
Brentford go down with Scotty Parker at the helm. Boom.
Wolfie, what are you saying about Forest like this season coming? Because I don't know any of the players you're keeping. Some apparently, according to LB and Pete and the other guys, they're all saying Forest are getting raided, bruv. What's happening?
Well, first I need to correct Joe because he said they just pipped Forest to survival. It was actually Everton, mate. We were already safe when you lot were battling out and they were playing Bournemouth.
How many points was it, Wolfie? How many points was it?
Enough, mate. Enough that we didn't even need to bother on the last day of the season. We could have just thrown the game against Palace, but we had a party instead.
Do you remember when we beat you? Do you remember when we beat you, right? And I'm on watch along and I'm going,
yeah, and I remember the gloating,
Forest are down, and then fucking I was everywhere all over.
He was like, that's it, Forest are done. We're good. We're too good to go down. Da, da, da. Has that been 3 years, man? Where's that time gone? But no, look, we're not getting raided. We don't need to sell anyone. There's talks of Elanga going to Newcastle. If that's going to happen, they're going to have to overpay for him. About 60, 70
Is that a good signing, Wolfie? Like, do you think he's good enough to... Would you miss him? I don't know that you would, really.
His GA has been really good this year. I think 8 goals, 11 assists. He's got You know what? When we signed him, I talked to my Man U mates. They were like, his potential is through the roof. When I'm speaking to Pete and them, any Newcastle fans, it's the same line. His potential is still through the roof. I still don't think he's reached the heights he can reach. He's had a very good season, but he is a bit streaky. He'll go through a patch of like 5-6 games where he's unplayable and then just kind of floats out of games or doesn't do as much as you'd expect him to do. So I think they will try it and keep him. He doesn't necessarily want to leave. It would be a club decision if Newcastle overpay. Gibbs White isn't going to Man City. That looks like it's died down. And then there's no talks on Murillo leaving. So the core of our team is staying, and we're looking to strengthen. We beat Arsenal to the signing of Igor Jesus. So, you know, the poor Forest is big.
That,
man. It's true.
Stop saying that.
Why?
It was only linked to Igor Jesus because Edu wanted Igor Jesus.
Did you get him?
Edu left. We no longer wanted him. He's an Edu player. Or what? Whoa. It's magic. Well, Edu goes to Nottingham Forest and you get Igor Jesus, who he wanted when he was at Arsenal.
I'm just saying, man, we took your
are aligning.
Yeah, we took your
line.
We took your striker that you want. Look, bottom line, Hooks, at least we bought a striker. You know what I'm saying? And we're not doing the whole freaking.
I remember when he told me. Remember when he told me you're getting Gyokeres? Remember that?
Remember telling me you were getting a striker?
You remember?
I'm still waiting.
Yeah, you remember? What do you want to do? Remembers? Remember when he told me
again lies? I said we were linked to Gyokeres.
You remember when he told me he was going to finish above me?
Remember when he told me you were going to win a trophy? Remember when he told me you were going to do the quad? We can do this all day. We can do this all day, Hooks.
You want to do the remembers? Yeah. Do you remember?
Actually, I've just realized. Hooks is like twice my size. I'll just agree with him.
Yeah, man. Nah, man, we're not doing that. Yeah, maybe you could have come with this chest if you got Champions League, but you get me. You got to worry about. Are you going to go closer to the relegation zone next season? Go back.
You think, Hooks? You think?
Then,
well, Wolfie, have you already started to do your trips, your plans to like Azerbaijan, Mogadishu, and all these types of places? That's where you're going to be playing games next year. Like, you got to start planning your trips.
I don't know what competition I'm in yet, bro.
Because FC Noah, Djurgården, all these.
Oh, George, I don't know what competition I'm in yet, bro.
So you're gonna have to start, getting to know some new languages, start learning some new words, because some of these teams don't know how to pronounce them. Alphabet FC.
Again, George, I don't know what competition I'm in yet. I could be in Europa, I could be in conference. It's still TBC.
It doesn't look very likely.
It's still TBC, likely or not, it's still TBC, mate. And I saw all those snitch comments in the chat. Snitch, man.
So Wolfie, if you finish below where you finished this season, is that a failure?
Wait, is he quiet or is it me?
He's a bit quiet, but it's a very valid
quiet.
I'll ask it again. So, Wolfie, if you finish below where you finished this season, is that considered a failure?
I wouldn't consider it a failure. I'd say a disappointment. There's a difference.
So what's your expectations for the season then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's the end goal?
Europe and a trophy.
Oh, Europe and a trophy.
See how easy that was to answer.
What happens if you don't get that?
What happens if you don't get that? What happens?
Well, that's my expectations, so I wouldn't be happy. The club expectations could be different.
So what would you want?
Are you finishing?
If you finish 10th and no trophy, for example, what would you want the outcome to be?
Yeah, what do you want?
It depends how we got to 10th. Was it a bottle job from third? Was it a shit start and a good recovery? If it's a bottle job from third, I'd probably turn on the manager. If it was a shit start and a recovery, I'd be like, all right, let's see what happens next season.
But a bad start's a bad start, regardless that would have been on the manager, right? And also,
if it's a bad start, I could be turning on Nuno early. I mean, I can't tell you. These are all the possible outcomes.
You already turn on Nuno.
Yeah, there's your clips, everyone. There's your clips. You're welcome.
But Cal, if you don't win the league next season, is that a failure?
Yes.
Yeah. Will you be
every single season Liverpool don't win a league? In my eyes, is a failure unless we.
So you'll be slot out end of the season if you've not won the league or the Champions League.
Depending on how he performs in those trophies.
Yeah. Oh, that's depending, bro. So
but Wolfie, we're in different tax brackets, bro. Like, we're in different tax brackets. Your new money, I get it. It's nice.
Yeah, I got the king on my money. You're still holding the queen on yours.
Good, bro. We're good over here. We're good.
But I'm saying, like, all right, exponentially or you know, the gap, whatever you look at, the outcomes, if they don't meet, you're going to be slot out.
I don't know if I'd
Respectfully,
be slot out,
Wolfie,
but I'd be very disappointed. I was disappointed.
respectfully,
I voiced my disappointment at the fact that we went out of the Champions League because I think Slot got it tactically wrong against PSG over both legs. I'm not afraid to call anyone out. I'm Liverpool first. I don't care about the name on the back of the shirt. I care what's on the front.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Love that, Cal. Love that.
I'm
on the video, 50 minutes.
unless it's
50
Gerard,
minutes.
right?
Clip him.
Chill.
Unless it's Gerard. Listen, just quickly, Wolfie, before we move. Are you finishing above Tottenham? Yeah, Wolfie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Okay, George, there you go. You got that again, man. Finishing
50
above
minutes,
Tottenham.
32, George.
Yeah.
To help you out.
Yeah. I've got it in my notes. Don't worry.
Do you think you'll finish above him, George?
That's not even a question. Finishing above Nottingham Forest is not a goal of me for mine. I'll just.
George, will you still be Thomas Frank in this time next year?
Nottingham Forest is not a goal of mine. It's quite frankly routine business. So
Like this season,
next season, when we end the season, I'm not going to be like, Wolfie, I finished above you. I'm just like, yo, bro, you know your place now. Like,
yeah.
Maybe
Are you going to be Thomas Frank in this time next season, George?
Too much.
George, are you going to be Thomas Frank in this time next year?
We'll have to see.
Apparently, Ekatike Bomber.
Yeah, I just see that. Who's that for then? Let me check. Is it Liverpool or Chelsea or
someone else? Maybe Nottingham Forest.
Man United have entered the race.
No, we're not linked to him. We're not linked to him.
United? Oh, they have ended the race for Ekatike, Man United, in the last 48 hours. Plenty goal.
Oh,
Well,
Man United.
Oh.
Oh, Man United have entered the race.
That makes it very interesting then, Hooks.
Yeah, very. I thought Gyokeres wanted to go to Manchester United. That's what I heard.
What are we saying? What are we saying, bro? Talk to me.
Because he had been priced out of a move. Because that's the whole talk at the moment. At the sporting the handshake agreement is just. We all know.
The latest. I'll put it to the panel. The latest is a few minutes ago. Obviously, this Ekatike thing broke at United. For most of the day or overnight, Gyokeres and Arsenal has been very, very spoken about again. Well, it looked like it was Sesko. Now, I don't know if that means we're changed or we're going for both Sesko and Gyokeres and trying to be ambitious. I have zero understanding of what's happening, and I'm getting quite annoyed and confused about it. I just want to actually go and get Gyokeres. But what I'm hearing here from a few different reports, I'll just read out what has been said. Arsenal have made their first formal proposal for Gyokeres. The Gunners are willing to pay a fixed amount, around 60 million euros, which with bonuses and objectives would exceed that 60. However, it is below the Sporting valuation. So from what we understand, Sporting Lisbon said, yep, no worries, he can go. But now they're starting to kick off and say, actually, we want more. And that is why it's holding it up. Now, Arsenal are trying to go in, from what we understand now, with around about 60 million euros plus add-ons. They're now saying that's below the mark and that it's more. There were rumours suggesting that Arsenal were all over Sesko. So I have no idea what's happening here now. But it's very interesting that Sesko looks set to Arsenal and Gyokeres looks set to Manchester United. And now it looks like all of a sudden Gyokeres wants Arsenal and Ekatike is now being linked with Manchester United. So I don't know how much of this is going to change. It's going to go back and forth. But I don't know. Let me bring Sava in quickly on this because it'd be interesting to get his kind of point of view. Like, what do you think's happening here? Because there's about 4 clubs that want strikers, and there ain't many strikers other than Isak that everyone's dead set on. Gyokeres, obviously, Sesko, Ekatike. There's obviously been Delap, who's now gone to Chelsea. I know that's a bit of a drop-off, but he's another striker being mentioned with these clubs. Julian Alvarez and Watkins keep getting mentioned as well. Like, what do you see happening here, Sav?
I see that these selling clubs are rubbing their hands together and playing the game brilliantly. They know that there's very few strikers out there wanted, and they can just turn around and go, Ekatike, cool, 100 million. We all know he's not a £100 million player, but they can command it. So these teams are in the driving seat. All those reports today that, you know, Gyokeres is annoyed that he was apparently allowed to leave for 60, 70 million, and now they want 100.
It's funny how they're all 100, isn't it, Sava? Like everyone, Ekatike, Gyokeres.
100.
Well, we want 100 mil, they know the big clubs are just they're gonna fess up close to it. They know exactly what they're doing, man.
Yeah, but it's the knock-on effect as well, George, isn't it? You know, you look at these players that are not worth 100 million will get sold for 100 million, And then fans will demand that from minute one that they're giving £100 million performances. And then everyone gets on their back. Then they're labelled a flop. And it's just football transfers have gone crazy. But said it for years. I don't think there's a lot of good strikers out there. There really isn't a lot of good strikers. And what's happening is, for anyone a bit older, remember the days where a striker used to have 3-4 seasons in a row banging in 20-25 goals to go for a massive fee. Now we're seeing young strikers who have one good year, like Ekitike. By the way, we played him twice this year. Good player, really good hold-up play, had a good year goal scoring, but, you know, this is his first year. And suddenly people go, right, one good year, we'll have 100 million, please. And God, it's mad. The world's gone mad. So all I know is that Arsenal, for me, need one. You desperately need one. I think that you guys should go for. Listen, as a Spurs fan, I don't want you to get him, but I think as a football fan, I think you guys need a Gyokeres. I don't think you can be messing around with the whole, oh, he's good, he's promising, because City have got Haaland. That's not good and promising. That's proven. Liverpool have got Mo Salah. That's not promising. That's good. That's proven. And you guys haven't got that. You guys don't have that. So I think you need that. And we'll see. And if any of you want Richarlison, we can do you a good deal. We won't ask for 100 million. Or Solanke. You can have Solanke as well.
Joe will have him.
Absolutely. Come and take him. But on a serious note, I think that, Dan, what we were just WhatsApping about. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. And it's almost going to be I don't know what you guys, I'll throw it to you lot. Don't you think there's going to be a lot of default here? Like, by default, one of these strikers will go first, and that will completely change.
And then it's going to be a knock-on effect. Yeah, it's going to be a knock-on effect to the whole market. But you know what's funny about all this is, like I agree with you. I think Gyokeres is the best of the three. He's clear of the other two, Ekitike and Sesko. They're both good, they're promising, but they're both young and probably more unproven. Is you can look in the Premier League, and I think Mateta's better than both Sesko and Ekitike, and you get him for about half the price. And this is the problem with Premier League clubs. You're looking at, and they're like, there's someone right in front of you. Yeah, he's a bit older, but he's proven in the Premier League. He's had 2 good seasons, not just one. And his all-round gameplay is probably at a similar level to Ekitike's or higher, and definitely higher than Sesko. So I don't know why these clubs aren't trying to be smart with their signings and go get someone like a Jean-Philippe Mateta. But yeah, no, I think this is just all these selling clubs being smart, man, putting 100 million price tags on these players, thinking that they're worth that. And eventually these clubs are going to be silly enough to buy him. Because, like I said, when Gyokeres eventually goes for 70 or 75, Sesko is going to be 70 or 75, and then Ekitike will be around 70, 80 or so on.
Why is no one going for Lautaro Martinez? He's one of the only players in the last 6 years to have 5 seasons at over 25 goals.
Because he looks
like 5 years.
It looks like his body's breaking down a little bit, and plus, he just seems to love Inter.
Yeah,
they're in trouble though, right? Like financially, these Italian clubs are.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on the Inter Milan centre back at the moment.
Yeah, but Arsenal just need to move.
I didn't mention any names, Jules. I didn't mention any names, bro.
Well, I missed that, Cal. What did you say?
I'm just saying I'm keeping my eye on a centre back who plays for Inter Milan to see how the market moves.
You're gonna do the curse.
The curse is dead, bro. The curse died the other day.
Oh, it died.
The curse, it's now dead, bro.
It's dead, bro.
I must admit, like I don't really know how this is going to play out now, Hooks. I don't know, bro. Like, I'm looking at Gyokeres praying. I think Sesko, we've wanted him for so long. I'll be quite amazed if he doesn't go to Arsenal, if I'm honest with you. Are we going to end up with one of them, both of them, or none of them, bro? How do you see this one playing out?
There is a reality where we end up with both. I think it all really depends on, like, what type of deals we can get. Like, I think it really depends on the price. Like, I think maybe Arsenal just have like a threshold that they're willing to pay for both player, and you know, maybe you could say that maybe it is being used as a bit of a smoke screen to maybe get Leipzig to drop their price on Sesko, which personally I don't mind, because if Edu was still here, Edu would have paid whatever Leipzig wanted to get Sesko in it. So at least Berta's trying to be a bit of a negotiator and standing firm and saying, no, we're not going over X amount for this player. And you get me? Arteta will just have to hold that. But I can see a reality where we get both. You know, obviously, I'd prefer Gyokeres. The fact that Man United are now looking at Ekatike, you know, that's, as far as I'm aware, that's the only other real like concrete interest in Gyokeres outside of Arsenal in the Premier League. So,
Forest.
well, yeah, Forest, but nobody needs to worry about Forest. You know, yeah, you know,
Hooks, like, why are you going so slow? Because like in January,
there's
you
no
get me?
When does preseason start, Wolfie?
It doesn't matter when preseason starts. When was the last time you had a striker?
The question: when does preseason start?
It doesn't matter.
Answer.
But it differs for every club. All right, how about that?
Answer. Okay, when is Arsenal
for every club?
When is Arsenal's preseason starting?
I don't know. You tell me. You're an Arsenal fan.
Okay, yeah, not until July. So you know, I've got I got about 18 days.
Okay,
19,
but do you get the point I'm making? You've had 4 years.
No, I don't get the point you're making.
All right, well, listen to my point. You've had 4 years.
I don't.
All right, listen to it then. You've had 4 years of no striker. In January, you were getting Watkins, and then the whole Berta thing comes in. Where's the negotiations that were happening from January to now to get a striker through the door? Do you not feel, as an Arsenal fan, if a striker was there day one of the transfer window opening, that lifts the morale of the fan base? You don't get poor Potts having to do a Sesko video, then a Gyokeres video, then a both video. Yeah, the fan base's morale is lifted. You can then go into the rest of your transfer window, maybe go after Rodrigo. You get time there. The fans will give you the time because you got the 9 in. You're dragging your feet.
Maybe you might not know this because you know you're not supporting a big club, But by the way,
already signed players, bro.
By the way, teams don't sign players to raise the morale of the fans. They try and work the best deals for the club. So
I didn't say that's what they do. I said it would.
So think about it. Concentrate. I don't know what you're talking about, fan morale. Why do I don't give a shit.
You don't think signing a player raises the fan base's morale?
Who cares?
He's still smiling, man. He's been going on about Verts for 3 weeks.
Who cares? I don't care.
What do you mean, who cares? Football is about the fans.
I don't care if there's a bunch of Arsenal fans that get their endorphins and they're a bit happy now because here we go. I don't care. Just get the players in before preseason starts. That's all I care about. Get the striker in before preseason starts. That's all I care about. If you can get the best deal, do that as well. Because if you get the best deal, that means we have more money to spend in other areas.
Yeah, but also you're
there thinking about fan morale. Who gives a shit? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me spin it to you from another way. Right. So you got Man U looking, you got Arsenal looking, you got Liverpool looking, you got a bunch of other clubs looking, and we've already discussed there's not an infinite amount of strikers available. You got Osimhen, you got Gyokeres, you got Sesko, and you got Ekatike. Pretty much is your list. Yeah. The longer you wait, the more likely that someone else is going to snap these up, and then your pool of selection becomes smaller. Yes or no? Would you agree with that?
Wolfie, sorry. Everyone knows how much I hate to defend hooks, especially with the turmoil we've had over the course of the last season. But Liverpool haven't signed a striker. United haven't signed a striker. Arsenal ain't signed a striker. Chelsea have signed one and still looking to sign one. None of us have signed, and we all know that was a priority position for us. So if none of us have signed, if Liverpool and United had signed one and Arsenal hadn't, then I'd be on your wavelength. But none of us have signed one. So for me,
but Cal, it could happen.
No, it could happen.
You could next week sign Ekatike. Man, you could get Gyokeres.
No, but
is it not smarter to get it done before everyone else gets it done?
But I think all 3 clubs are working behind the scenes. But players aren't silly as well, Wolfie. If they know that Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man United might be in for, let's say I'm Gyokeres, and my agent calls me, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man United want you. I'm not gonna make a rush decision. Remember, I don't support any of those clubs. If you're talking to me, Callum, I'm obviously always gonna pick Liverpool because I'm a Liverpool fan. Gyokeres he's a footballer. He's gonna look at it and go, okay, where's the best place for me? I'm gonna take my time and think about this. So he might not even be on the club's, Wolfie.
I get that. I'm just saying this dance has been going on for a long time. Sesko, they've been interested for 2 years. Pretty much. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2 years on that one. Right? Vlahovic before that links to Vlahovic left, right, and centre with Arsenal. Ollie Watkins in January. I'm just saying, if I'm an Arsenal fan looking at this, I'm bored of it. Just sign someone and move on with it.
Can I back up Callum? Can I back up Callum on this, please? So, again, thank you for some common sense that goes into this, right? Football fans think that all that matters is football fans. Football clubs don't give a shit, right? This whole nonsense of just sign somebody. Callum, you're absolutely right. If Gyokeres, let's use Gyokeres as the guy, right? If Gyokeres is wanted by Man United, Arsenal, Saudi, blah, 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 Bayern Munich, I don't know, all these people, right? Gyokeres is in no rush to make a move. Right? He's in no rush. He's going to play the game for as long as possible. He's going to go on holiday. He's going to let his agent do the game. I'll get back to you in a week's time. Don't you worry. His agent's going to be going, so-and-so want my guy. What are you saying? So-and-so, hey, Madrid, do you want Gyokeres? What's going on here? All of this stuff. It's not as simple as fans think that you just go in on day one and go, right, the window's open, bish, bash, bosh, player moves. There's so much that goes into it behind the scenes. I just feel like we're trying to make it Football Manager. We're trying to make it FIFA. Yeah. And these are big money moves. When you're talking about 70, 80, 90, 100 million pounds, the contracts that are put together, these players will have a contract put in front of them, even if they get to that stage. And their lawyer's going to turn around and go, God, do not sign that. We want these 30 clauses put in as well. 2 days later, but he's not having those 30 clauses, bish, bash, bosh. And that's once you get to the stage that the player says, yeah, I only want to join this club. So I just think we need to just slow it down a bit and realise that we might want it quick, but the footballers are human beings. This is their life decision. Do I take my kids out of school in Portugal to put them into London? Does my wife want to move? Does my family who I live with want to? All of these things, football fans just, I know that sounds really boring and old of me, but all of these things we have to take into consideration. And football fans just go, do it. Where's the signing?
No, it does sound boring and old of you because you're talking about day one, the transfer window opens and they start talking. They would have been talking to these players from January. If Arsenal was serious, or even before that, if Arsenal was serious about it, you take out your competition, you lock him down, you rule him, etc., etc. Oh, it does work in some instances like that.
It doesn't.
But not when the player is in control, Wolfie. If you think about it, Gyokeres right now,
when he works,
his agent would have been saying to him for a year, everyone wants you. Everyone wants you. There's no need to rush. There's no need. Everyone wants you. You don't have to make a decision in January. Yeah. If I'm Gyokeres and Arsenal come in for me, no offense to Arsenal. If Arsenal coming in for me, like, listen, we want you, right? I'm going to say, right, all right, let's see what happens in the summer. Yeah, I'm interested. But, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, put the feelers out there. Who else is interested in me? Now you've got the phone game.
No, because it works both ways. It works both ways. Because what you're missing out is, firstly, you're sticking on Gyokeres, where Sesko has been the solid link for a while. If Arsenal were playing it, hold on. If Arsenal were playing it correctly, and Gyokeres, they could turn to Gyokeres and say, right, you know what, you're taking too long. We're now going down the Sesko Avenue. So it can work both ways. Arsenal can turn it so the power's in their hands. They're not. They're just not moving this quick enough.
Sure, but he's got other options, so they haven't got the power.
You still haven't answered my question.
He's the talent. He doesn't. They don't have the power here, Wolfie. Arsenal, although they're a big club, they don't have the power.
Gyokeres, that puts the power into their hand because that takes an option of him to say, you know what, this was what we wanted to do. You don't want to do it. We're going to move to Sesko or whatever. It's not a one-sided thing.
He's the talent.
They're the guys with the green, man. They're the guys with the money.
Can you tell you where I'm at with this, right?
Sorry, Wolfie, Bayern Munich and Man City put in months of work to get Wirtz, and we ended up getting him.
Yeah, but we don't know how long you were working on him for.
Not as long as them two.
You don't know that. You could have been.
No, they came in late.
Okay, then, Cal, that backs my argument. So you went in, you locked him up quickly, got him done. Man City had moved maybe quicker on him. You could argue that could have been done, and his agent could have been saying, sorry, appreciate the approach, but we're already locked in with Man City.
They did move quick on him, but another team came in and things changed.
Yeah, but not if he'd agreed. This is what I'm saying. Look, situations are different on each one.
Handshake,
you cannot sit here and compare how you moved on Wirtz or how Man City moved on Wirtz to 4 years of Arsenal dragging their feet to sign a striker.
It's not 4 years though, is it? It's last season and this season, isn't it?
No, it's 4 years. They never replaced Aubameyang. They never replaced Lacazette. They didn't even replace Eddie.
They brought in Jesus actually, and then they brought in Havertz. They brought in 2 players.
We're not saying that
Havertz wasn't brought in as a striker.
No, but Jesus was. So we're not even.
No, he wasn't. He was the right winger.
No, he was brought in as a striker.
He was brought in as right. He was playing at Man City before he left as the right winger.
I think where what we're missing here, right, is I agree to a certain extent with what you're saying about keep your powder dry because it's not over yet. There's plenty of time. I get that and I hear that. There is loads of time to go, right? But I'm actually understanding where Wolfie's coming from as an Arsenal fan as well, because right now, if I said to you guys who's looking good in the transfer window, you wouldn't say Arsenal, but you would say Manchester City and Liverpool are looking serious.
Yeah,
because Liverpool have signed Wirtz. They look like Mamardashvili's coming in. You've obviously got Gyokeres and Frimpong that are coming through the door. And there's rumours, and I don't know if Cal knows this is true or not, that they're going for a striker as well on top of that, right? So when I'm looking at, don't say it, Cal, because you'll jinx it, right? But
no, I've said it already. It's out there, Potts. I've said it already, bro.
I must have missed this. Okay. So there's a striker that Cal thinks is coming to Liverpool as well on top of that. Which one, Cal?
Which one?
What's the name?
Who does he play for?
Isak. I want Isak. You know what it is, guys?
Okay. Sorry. Okay. I'm being dumb. I thought it was another person.
The moment Bloomberg signed, it was done. The curse is done. I'm out of sight.
The cow curse is done now.
Hooks, I told you. When we lifted that trophy, it's smoke for the summer. I want it all now. I've got to change it now.
I personally don't think Isak is going to go, but if he went to Liverpool, I think they've won the league, right? However, Manchester City also moving mad. With Rodri coming back, I think that will improve Foden and Haaland. They've obviously bought in Reinders, who I think is an incredible signing, by the way. Ryan Cherky looks an absolute baller. They've got Nori through the door, who I think is very underrated, by the way, not what people are giving a lot of time to. And then obviously there's a lot of rumours they're going to be going up towards 75 to 80 for Livramento. That to me means Manchester City could be back next season quite comfortably with Rodri back into the side, making them tick. So I don't know where you stand with this, Joe, because you're an undercover Arsenal fan and you love us. So what are you saying about it? Should we be like keeping our powder dry, or Arsenal going to get this right? What are you telling me?
To be honest, mate, for the last half hour, I've totally zoned out and just heard a lot of voices. But who do I think you should sign? Gyokeres, yeah. And Sesko, is that where we're at? Sorry, I do apologize.
Nothing's changed in 4 months, Joe. Yeah, you're still fine.
Still the same, innit? It's still the same. Gyokeres would be the best bet. I don't think you get them both, though. I did hear what Hooks was saying. I don't think you get them both. You did say that, right?
Yeah. Well, I said there's a reality where we could end up getting them both.
Yeah. But you need to get a striker, don't you, this time? You have 100%. To, Dan. Yeah, you have to. It's the missing piece of the jigsaw. And because I know obviously I've sort of like backed Arteta through this period of time. You give him the striker. If he doesn't win out this time, then he will go. And I think the club will part ways with him, to be honest. I think I get all the phase stuff and what phase is he in. It's funny when I see it online, to be honest. But at the end of the day, there is context to everything, man. You can't win it all, and ultimately he didn't have a striker, man. And you will go into this season with one. You've signed Zubimendi as well. That's done, right? That's done. That's
how many times do you call being late to work context? You know, I got in traffic, I got so on, and then you're just not prepared. Eventually, it's an excuse. So you can only say it's context for so long. Like, let's be honest. Like, it can only be context first season, maybe second season. After that, third season. All right, fourth and fifth. We're now getting to excuses. Now we're getting to excuses.
Exactly.
Yeah, but who deserves the blame for that though? It's the club, not the manager.
Well, it depends how much power he's got, Joe.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, maybe. But
my thing to that is, Joe, right? And I know you know my thoughts on this, and you and I have gone back and forth on this, right? I appreciate that people do say, how has Arteta not won 5 Premier Leagues in 5 years? It's a disgrace. A little bit over the top, right? However, I think in 5 years, that squad's been good enough to win a trophy. And he ain't won that. Yeah, and I know people say, yes, he did. He walked in and won it. Yeah, but that was with apparently a mess and a toxic squad. Since he's broke that up and spent 800 million on it, or 700 or 600 or 500, whatever people want to throw back at me, he's won nothing, mate. So this is my problem. You're right. He's going to get the striker. He's going to get the winger, and he's going to get the Zubimendi in midfield. Looks like we've got Kepa coming in as the backup keeper. Whatever. We're going to get another defender probably as well to come in as cover. But for me, I'm not bothered about Kepa and the defender. I'm bothered about what Zubimendi is going to do to our midfield and what our winger and striker is going to do. And then there's no excuses.
Would you not say, though, let's see if you get Rodrigo and get your striker. I think everybody then at that stage says, this Arsenal team is complete.
Yeah.
It has everything that it needs. Now, I get you've not won trophies, and I hear that. And it's been a while since you've competed for the Premier League. It did take you from 8th up to competing with a relentless Manchester City side. And obviously this past season, Liverpool just blew it away. But I think he's been so transfixed on wanting to win that league that all eggs have been in that basket. However, going into next season, I do agree with you. With the depth that you have now as well, right? You have crazy depth as well when you think about it. Calafiori and stuff was wanted by a host of clubs. He's probably not starting for you. You have got insane depth. You've got a great midfield. Okay, you need a striker, and then obviously a left winger potentially. But outside of that, like you've got all the tools, right? You've got all the tools. So I think now it is do or die time. But for me, Dan, it's I don't know. It's sort of the opposite. So I see, right, here we go, right? You've got Sava, who says to me, not good enough in the league, rubbish week after week, win a trophy. Still not happy. Arsenal fans, you play quality football. You are competitive in nearly every competition. You have an unreal squad, and you all love your squad again, right? You love your team again. There was a period of time when you couldn't stand them. I see it online, Bellerin, all these people. You couldn't stand. You are in love. He has built this. Arteta has built this, right? So it's like, but if you won one trophy, then that would make it all right. Well, Sava's won a trophy for the first time in 17 years, and guess what? Still not all right.
But do you know why that is, Joe? You understand why that is, though, right? Because you've got to be competitive in the league alongside winning trophies. You can't win a trophy and come 17th when you can't win a trophy. So if Arteta wins a trophy and he's coming 5th, 6th, well, he's won a trophy, then you're just turning into a Ten Hag. Like, he has to be competitive within the league. Take Pep and Klopp or Liverpool and City, or whoever it is, to the last games of the season.
How many seasons has he had now?
He's had 5 years now. This is his sixth.
So I'm taking you from next to nowhere. Now, if we were to look, for me, right, if we were to jump into the future, and of course that sounds wild, right? But this Arsenal setup, squad, team, age profile, everything is set up for the next 5 seasons. Who's done that? He's done that.
Yeah, and he deserves praise for that, but I ain't won us anything yet. So now we need to deliver.
But going into this, I think you will get something.
Yeah, but Joe, their squad isn't deep enough, in my opinion. Defensively, it is deep enough. They've got no striker, recognized striker.
They're going to rectify that.
Yeah, but that's only one. I think they need 2 strikers. They need to strengthen on the left. They need a Saka backup. You've got Partey. I don't know what's going on with his contract. If he goes, then he needs replacing. There's still quite a lot of work to do with Arsenal. I get what you're saying. They've like starting 11 is a striker and a left winger away from being seriously competitive, despite of Arteta. But the squad is very strong defensively. But I don't know if Hooks and Potts would agree. But attacking wise, I don't think the depth is that good.
Well, just on that, yeah. Say we sign Gyokeres just for sake of argument. And we sign Rodrigo. That now means that Jesus is on the bench, Martinelli's on the bench, Trossard's on the bench, potentially Havertz on the bench. That's good option to come off the bench. That's good depth. Like, no, that's better depth.
There's no excuses in Hooks. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying as well, though.
I'm with you.
100%.
I don't think that. Me personally, I don't think there's any excuses for what happened last season. Me personally, yeah. But cool. If they've decided, the club's decided, cool, we're gonna give you all of the tools that you need, all of them. We're gonna give you all of them, yeah. Then I hope it's with the prerequisite that if you don't deliver, then we're making a change. That's all I hope.
Can I just as well? Go on. No, you're bang on the money, Hooks, right? But we're gonna talk about Pep, right? Everyone lauds Pep, and I get it. Why wouldn't you, right? They've had a disastrous season. Look how fucking much money they've spent now. But now we'll talk about next year if City go on a mad one and we'll go, oh, Pep, yeah, he's amazing. No other manager within this thing has got what he's got. Look what they bought in January. Some of them probably won't even play next season. Absolute flops. And then he's gone again. And we'll still buy more. But everyone will go, see, that's Pep, man. He's a winner.
Yeah, but Joe, that's what you have to do. No, if you want to win a league, you've got to utilize every window.
Which other clubs are doing that? Which other clubs are doing that?
Chelsea. Everyone's doing that.
Who? I mean, we only signed Jay won the league. So
hang on. If you look how much Man City have spent, right? If you take out this window and the last window, in the last 5 years, Spurs have spent more money than Man City.
Well, but this
Chelsea
is my point.
Arsenal have.
My point, Saver, is he had the squad. He's had one bad season. Then they go, fuck this, we're not having this. There's fucking 500
Yeah, but Joe, that's the archetypal rebuild, right? This is the thing. You can shake their head. This is a rebuild.
What I'm saying is, though, that 5 years where they haven't spent out, my point is Arsenal are now at that stage. They have got a core nucleus now with that.
Yeah, but the difference. The difference.
And we had to rebuild over many years. They literally two windows rebuilt.
But that's not true though.
January
Man City have been rebuilding from a few years ago. That's why
January summer rebuilt. Is it like
they've been rebuilding from a few years ago.
They've literally rebuilt their midfield and attack.
Yeah.
Two windows.
And as much as we think it's done,
that's not true. That's not true.
It's not. No, for one, that's not true, Sam. They've been rebuilding for about 2 years, actually.
Yeah,
yes, they still perform. They've been better than the rest, but they've not been near the levels they were at 4 years ago. They've been actually regressing for a while. But they've just not made
2 years ago. 2 years ago, who did they sign to signify this rebuild?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go through it. I'll go through it then, Hooks. This is the problem.
Wait, but just quickly, sorry, before you go, Sava, before you go, I just want everyone to understand: signing players in the transfer window is not rebuilding. Like there has to be a core idea behind why you're buying. Like rebuild is intentional. It's not like, oh yeah, we're signing players in the transfer window. That means we're rebuilding, because every team doesn't rebuild every transfer window. Like
you got a point there, Hooks, because they let their age profile get too old in the field.
Like Man City have openly these last two windows have shown us that they're openly admitting that they held that they've.
Yeah, but you're saying the rebuild is done.
They effed up last summer by not choosing to rebuild them.
Let me
didn't want to rebuild them. So
a rebuild isn't done in 2 windows. A rebuild isn't done in 2 windows. You can.
For City, it is, bro.
Hang on. Can I just get one sentence in? Like,
go on, yeah.
Right, but when you look at the team that's going to be playing next year, Vardiol is going to be a massive part of that. He wasn't bought in the last 2 windows. Diaz is going to be a massive part of that. Wasn't bought in the last 2 windows, right? Rodri wasn't in the last 2 windows. Doku wasn't in the last 2 windows. Bob has come through the youth team. Hang on. Haaland wasn't bought in the last 2 windows. So what they're actually doing, when we're saying a rebuild, what they're doing is all of the players, you can look confused all you want. This is really basic. What they're doing is all of the older players that are moving on are being replaced. So when you look at now, Bernardo Silva coming to... Hang on. Hooks, let me talk, man. Right? Yep, but Hooks, they're not...
Go on, Sam.
They're not replacing their entire 11 in one window. They're building around the squad players that are leaving, right? They've brought in Marmoush, who will be replacing players that have gone. De Bruyne's gone. They're bringing in Cherky. But they've still got Foden, who's been there. They've still got Doku, who's been there for years. Haaland, who's been there for years. Right? Rodri's still there. Gundogan's still there. right? Diaz is still there. So what they're doing is all the players that have gone out, they're just filling them in. They're just filling them in, aren't they? With Turkey is replacing De Bruyne, essentially, right? If you look at left back, right, Vardiol is going to shift into centre half, which is what Pep said last year. Vardiol is going to shift into centre half next season. So Ain't Nouri's going into the left back position they've had problems with for a few years. I don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. They're doing what big clubs should do. You have some holes in your team, you plug them. The difference is Arsenal haven't done it. Yeah. Liverpool until this year have not done it. Yeah. City are doing it, and everyone's got a problem with them doing it. I don't see the issue.
They spent like nearly 180, 190 million in January.
Sure.
Can any clubs, obviously we can't, right? But can you write off a signing of Nico Gonzalez? Can you write off a cousin of signing?
Who said they've written him off?
Well, we'll see how much they clear next season, won't we?
No. Okay, yeah, but Joe, but again, this is what I mean, right? This is where fans get emotional, right? Who's written him off? You as a fan can say he's written off. Pep Guardiola, how many times over the years, you all know this, when Pep brings players in, unless they are the best ones, like Haaland and De Bruyne, how many times you see Pep Guardiola slowly but surely introduce a player into that team for the first year? Right?
Savage, bro. I don't think a rebuild constitutes having to rebuild a starting 11 or 11 players. No. I think, for example, Liverpool, after we lost Henderson, Fabinho, etc., we had to have a rebuild. We had to rebuild the midfield. But Virgil van Dijk, Robertson, Konate, Alisson, Salah, they all still played. So when we say rebuild, we're not saying you strip and rip everything out and literally buy another fresh set of players. But City are having a rebuild. The fact they're buying a left back, another forward, 2 centre-backs in January.
Midfielders.
Turkey, midfielders. That's a rebuild, bro. Because
3 midfielders,
because they're having to get rid of players to then build new players into the squad.
Sure,
in the same way,
that's what I said.
If my conservatory
the same thing.
No, but if my conservatory falls down, I've still got the house, but I've got to rebuild this conservatory, right? It's the same thing City are doing. So they've lost or they're losing players. Therefore, they're having to rebuild. I think, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think what Joe's saying is, apart from City in the Premier League, no other team has the ability to rebuild in 2 windows, whereas City have. City have got that.
They just choose not to.
No, Saba, we don't. We don't, because we try and play by the rules, where City don't. I think that's pretty obvious. And City fans
Chelsea
out on that.
Okay. So how much money do Chelsea spend? Do Man United spend? Do Arsenal spend?
But that's not a rebuild. That's a future proof of Chelsea.
Forget the word rebuild. The word rebuild is taking over everything here.
No, right? But Saba, the other clubs don't have 100 and however many charges hanging over their heads. The other clubs don't materialize. But that is the primal reason why they're able to do the rebuild. Saba, if I lent you 100 million pounds,
but again, I didn't talk about.
Let me land one sec.
I don't know where you're going with this.
Saba, let me land one sec. If I lend you 100 million pounds and say go and do what you want with it, you haven't made that money, have you? I've given you that money. If I say to you, Saba, no, wait, Saba.
I don't know where we're going with this. You're looking at the wrong person.
No, I'm saying, when we're saying that no other club can do a legitimate rebuild like Man City in this short period of time, we're saying because the other clubs are sticking to rule books. Newcastle, the richest club in the league, bro. Newcastle ain't spend money like Man City. Liverpool,
Has City been charged?
Come on, Saba, bro. Like,
no, Callum. Okay, no, let me come back at you now, right? You want to sit there? Was OJ? No. Callum, you want to sit there and give me all these hypotheticals?
It's not hypotheticals, bro.
Hang on. You want to sit there and give me all these hypotheticals? If my conservatory falls down, if I lend you money,
it's not hypotheticals. They're facts. All right, Saba. Sorry, before you land, Saba, really quick. One question, Saba, before you land. Really quick. Are Man City a bigger club than Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Barcelona? Are they a bigger club?
No.
So why have they got the biggest sponsorship deals?
But I've not mentioned that, right? You're sitting here and
you're missing.
Sure, you are, but you're going at me with that. I never said any of this. I don't care about that shit.
I'm trying to prove my point, but you're not hearing my point, bro.
I am. Callum, I'm hearing your point, but you gave me a lot of hypotheticals. So I'm going to sit there and say to you,
my original point, bro.
I'm going to sit there and say to you, have Man City been charged with a 115?
It's
yes, they have been charged.
Yeah, they've been charged.
They've been charged, yeah?
Yeah.
And they're still allowed to spend money, yeah?
Well, yes.
Okay. So if they're allowed to spend money, what's everyone's problem? Because when Man City aren't spending money in transfer windows, no one's saying anything. Everyone last year was going, oh, Man City have had a shit transfer and not done anything. So then when they bulk that money into 2 transfer windows, everyone's then going, oh, who else can do that? Look how much money Man United has.
That's the point. That's the point. That's the point. That's the point. That's what we're talking about.
That's talk, am I?
No, because we're not doing this. Yeah, we're not doing this because you started talking about they've been rebuilding from 2 years ago. No, they haven't. They spend.
If you actually listen to what I said, Hooks.
Okay,
if you actually listen to what I said, a rebuild isn't just when you sign 7 or 8 players, right? When we're talking about,
I know this. I said it's intentional, which is why I said signing Haaland doesn't signify a rebuild. Signing Doku doesn't signify a rebuild. So what are we doing?
But what does that? So then, what does the word? So what does the word So basically, the word rebuild can mean whatever any particular fan wants it to mean. The way I see it,
they signed Nico Gonzalez. But they signed Nico Gonzalez for 60 million in January, and have now just bought Reinders, Turkey, still have Gundogan, still have all these players. It's because they had a poor season. It's because he had a poor season. He's gone, fuck this money. Bullsh. No one else can do that. Otherwise, you do it.
But they can. Chelsea kind of do it every year. Chelsea spend a shed load of money every year. Man United, hang on. You said no one else can do it. Man United, let me prove you're wrong then, Joe. Because if we're going to talk facts, have the facts in front of you. Man United last year spent 240 million. Someone in the chat will tell me I'm wrong. 230, 240. Man United this year have already spent 60. They're bidding another 65. They're already bidding another 65 for Mbeumo. They're bidding £100 million for Ekatike. So Man United are about to have 2 summer transfer windows in a row where they smash £200 million.
And who do Man United have to sell, Sava?
Exactly.
Hang on, right? But Man City sell. Callum, Man City sell a lot. They sell loads. So what's the problem? So if when Man City do it, everyone's got a massive problem. Chelsea do the same thing every year. Sell loads, buy loads. United, sell loads, buy loads. Right? When City do it, everyone's got a problem with it.
No one's got a problem with it. The problem is with the charges still withstanding and it's being dragged out. That's the problem with it. If City want to go and spend the money, cool. But let's find out if they're doing it legally.
Okay, but then that's
definitely not coming from you, Wolfie. That's definitely
the powers that be need to then say that they can't spend. Right? If the powers that be are letting them spend, we can all sit here and be annoyed about it, but they're letting it happen. If the powers that be say it happen, then it's not wrong, is it?
So because they've not been charged, we just shut up and let it go, yeah?
No one said that. But you guys, you just said to me they have been charged. You said they have been.
I'm asking you the question because I don't get what the outcome from this debate is that you want, bro. Because
I didn't want any outcome from the debate. You started bringing in charges and shit. I'm just responding to it. I was talking about Man City for years, for me, have needed to bring in younger players to replace the older players. They messed up last season. But now you are going to see players that have been bought for previous seasons now take a much bigger role. As I said, Vardiol was bought a few years back. He's going to shift into centre half.
So if they're replacing all these older players with younger players, is that not a rebuild?
I didn't say it wasn't a rebuild, but a rebuild. All I said was it doesn't happen in 2 windows. They're not changing a 25-man squad in 2 transfer windows.
But that's not a rebuild, bro. That's an overhaul. No one ever does that. It's impossible to do.
Well, Forest did.
So my meaning of the word rebuild versus your meaning.
That was an overhaul.
So that's what this is. Right? It's your meaning of the word rebuild versus my meaning of the word rebuild. That's what this is.
I think what we're doing here is
staying up.
We're just going around in circles. That's what we're doing, Dan.
I just don't get it. They're not the biggest spenders, and everyone
trying to work out. I was trying to work out where we were going with this. We are going to and
This
fro.
is Joe's fault. He started it.
Yeah, Joe. Look, I think what you're saying. Look, Manchester City. This is where what I will say to end this before we close, right, is because I've always had this comparison with Pep and Sir Alex Ferguson, and when Sir Alex Ferguson's tools were blunt, as much as I hated going to war with him, he used to get Man United across the line and drag them across the line. Pep just says, give me more money. And as much as I do believe if you had the best squad, and I said this 11 is the best 11 in the world, who I'd want to manage it would be Pep Guardiola. If I said I want this manager to get the best and the last drop out of this team, I ain't giving it to Pep. I'm giving it to Sir Alex Ferguson. Those are the two differences for me. When your tools were blunt, Sir Alex Ferguson will drag you across the line. Because people all try to compare it and say, oh, yeah, but, the tools were blunt. Yeah, the tools were blunt in 2013 and Manchester United won the league. Yes, they had Robin Van Persie and Rooney, but don't Man City still have Haaland and Foden? So I look at Phil Jones and Chris Smalling at the back and Darren Fletcher and aging Carrick, Scholes and Giggs getting across the line, and Manchester City having an aging Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo and Gundogan, and it being absolute chalk and cheese. And let me be real, that was probably a more competitive Premier League back then when Sir Alex Ferguson had Wengers and Mourinho's than all these guys that he was going with. So for me, I think Sir Alex Ferguson just leaves everyone dead in the water when it comes to Premier League management.
Man, isn't it about spending the money better, though? This is for me, in the last 5-10 years, the one thing that Man City do better than all the other clubs is they spend their money better.
That's true. No arguments.
Yeah, this is the difference. If you actually look over this is the thing. If you actually look over what all of these clubs have spent over the last decade, I'm going to chuck Spurs in there, right? Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, all the big six, you know what I mean, right?
I would argue that I'd arguably say we've spent just as well as Man City. We just haven't had as much to spend.
No, I understand that. My point is that Man City do more often than not spend it very, very well. Like if you actually look at what they spent this summer, £110 million on Ait-Nouri, Cherki and Reinders, and you've got people going, Sesko and Ekatike are £100 million. That's bloody good in the transfer market.
Legends, Wolfie, legend.
That's really good of them in the transfer market. So I know we can hate them, but again, what Pep hasn't done, none of the free players he's gone and bought are top world class at the top of their game. When you look at that, Ait-Nouri's nowhere near ever talked about as one of the greatest left backs in the world. Cherki, everyone says attitude problem. What's he doing at Lyon? Reinders had a couple of good years at Milan, but no one ever talks about him. World class top player. Pep will get them, coach them, turn them into winners, and then people will go, oh, he only spends money. But then look at what Arteta spent. Havertz, Jesus, Rice. These aren't cheap footballers, but the difference is one's going to get the best out of them and get them over the line. The other one isn't. There's the difference for me.
True what you just said there regarding Arteta, but at the same time, Pep Guardiola came into a team that had been winning leagues and trophies. Arteta came into a club that weren't doing that. So again, you've got to look at the foundation as well, Sava. Like if you take over a business that's making billions and you continue to make billions, yeah, you've done well. But if you take over a business that isn't making any money and you make them a million company or even close to a billion, then you got to look at the two nuances. Pep's coming to a City team that have every single thing in place to be a success. And again, I'm not even trying to do Arteta prop here because I don't like Arteta. The longer he stays at Arsenal, the happier I'll be. But my whole notion here is that I can't just sit here and go, yeah, Pep spent money better than everyone. Yeah, but he's also had every single other thing going in his favour as well. Everything in his favour.
He has, but Callum, this is the thing. This is the difference between people who win every now and then and people who win regularly. Right? When you look at the money that some of these other clubs have spent, which is more than Man City, look at the state of them. When you look at Chelsea and Man United, look at all that time. Pep's put that infrastructure in place to Man City, right, over 8 years. Yeah, he walked into a good club. Look at what he's put the infrastructure into. He turned them into a team that won the league every now and then, to a team that won the league 4 years in a row, Champions League winners, played some of the best football we've ever seen, right? There's a difference. You can give loads of money to somebody and they don't do anything with it. You can give loads of money to somebody who creates you a long-term future. And that's what Pep's done at Man City.
has just come up, Sava, which is basically saying what you're saying.
There you go.
I've never disputed that fact, Sava. I'm just saying.
No.
I'm not saying you have. I'm not saying you have, Callum. I just think it's we as football fans, I think we pick and choose which managers we want to bash based on money. But when you look at the money that Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man United have spent in this last 5 years, I would say it's appalling that not one of those clubs in the last 5 years has won a Premier League with the money spent.
Briefly, that I do feel like it's a bit different when you're Man City, and just like you've seen for Turkey, is you don't necessarily have to. That obviously you negotiate with clubs, but when it comes to your pool, you don't have that problem where you're actually arguing as with players what team do you want to go. When you speak to teams or speak to players, sorry, I should say. That it's straight up. Oh yeah, I'll come to you, and then they haven't got the problem of having to do. Oh, I'm going to bid this man. I'm going to bid this man, because players more often than not will go straight to the selling club and say, "I want Man City and only Man City," and then there's no other outside.
Can I ask why?
So easy for them.
Don't you think
Pep is winners? They do the.
But don't you think Pep is a massive like if Arsenal, City, Liverpool, if these people go in for the players 9 times out of 10, I think people are going to go, Pep. I want to. I'm not saying everyone. There's always going to be examples where it didn't happen. People want to play for Pep because he's a proven winner. He upskills people. He creates winning teams. So I think a lot of it is he's so disrespected for me as how good a coach he is. Can have the money, but the teams he creates, the way he gets them playing. I think he's the best I've seen. Just for me. I think the best I've seen.
Okay. That's interesting, man. Look, I think Pep has changed football. I think Sir Alex Ferguson, what he's done in the Premier League is scary, and there'll always be that debate. And what's mad is you always try to compare to, and it's like Messi and Ronaldo. It's like you're trying to say one of them's crap and the other one's good. They're both like unbelievable.
Yeah, of course.
It's crazy.
I'm not belittling any of the others, Dan. Can I just say that? I'm not belittling Wenger and Klopp, and just for me, I think there's a difference between, like, Callum, we did a show, me and you. And you said the one thing that riled you about Liverpool is it's not that you don't believe you can win a league every now and then. It's about, can you go on and be the dominant force? Can Liverpool now turn that one league title into 3, 4 in a row?
Yeah, of course.
Pep did that whilst other people were outspending him. Now, yes, he'd already built that squad, but he got that squad running through brick walls for him.
100%. I agree. I'm not sitting here saying that Pep ain't goated. You know, he's in that conversation.
I know.
I'm just saying there's more context behind it.
I agree. Thought Dan might like the debate.
Look, it's all good, man. It's all good. Look, it's been a good show. It's been longer than I thought, but it's been a good debate. I've enjoyed it, and big up to everyone that's been a part of it. Big up to Wolfie and Hooks who had to drop. Big up to everyone else that's on the channel as well. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thanks for your super chats, comments. Make sure you're following Match Bingo. Scan the QR code or click on the link in the live chat or in the link in the description, and make sure you downloaded the app and you start playing. Let me know if you win. We got a winner earlier, £150, Liverpool fan. God, man, ain't you won enough? But big up to you, and make sure you enjoy Match Bingo. Let me know if you win, yeah? Let me know. There's been so many people that have won on stuff and ain't told me. And that's not good, man. Got to celebrate it and let us congratulate you. So big up to you guys, man. Cal, just quickly, did you enjoy Trent's little speech earlier in Spanish? Was that nice? He's how long has he been planning that speech for, bro?
Yeah, I've got nothing else to say about Trent, man. He's made his bed. He got to lie in it now, innit? If it don't work out for him, then that's on him. I'm on to bigger and better things now.
Yeah, mate. I didn't even get a chance to ask you.
He was brilliant at Liverpool when he was there, but he's made his bed now, innit?
You're moving mad in the window, bro. I know we can get a proper chance, but I feel like we know what you're doing and who you're signing, and it's looking good for you, mate. I can't lie. If you add that final piece that you want, I think you can dominate, bro. But we'll see what happens, man.
I told you, Dan, whenever you're ready, bro, I got a couple t-shirts for you, man.
Oh dear, I'd rather be in your last 10 years than my last 10 years, bro. Let me tell you that. It is one of those things. But make sure you're following Cal on Coppish. Make sure you're following Sava Football Heritage TV. Make sure you're following George Durag Diaries, and make sure you're following Just Joe on Just Joe TV, or following Joe, should I say, on Just Joe. That's what you need to be doing. We're going to send you over to Rants. Rants and Lee Gunner are chatting at the moment. So go say Dan Potts raid, 12th man raid, whatever you want to say. And we're going to get out of here. We'll see you next time, people. We're out. Laters.